What I want to do today is bring you a video of basically low light shooting and the importance of a flashlight in a low light situation. This could be if you conceal carry, if you're out, out and about somewhere in a dark alley, dark parking lot, something like that, or home defense. If you get startled at night, woken up in the middle of the night, and what's going on, you have to be able to see, what your potential targets are. And the disadvantage we're at, as far as being law-abiding citizens, even law enforcement, concealed carry holders, we all have a set of rules that we have to go by. We can't just basically randomly shoot at a shadow in the dark. Unfortunately, felons can, or violent criminals. They don't have that same set of rules. So if you hear a bump in the night, you get up in your house, you go down your hallway, all they have to do is hear movement or see movement, and they can shoot that way if they want to. If they're out to do you harm, they can do that. Us, unfortunately, we can't. We have to ID that person, see if that's basically a threat that's authorized to use deadly force on. We have to make sure it's not one of our loved ones getting up in the middle of the night, stumbling and tripped over something or whatever. We have to ID it. They don't. So that's where a flashlight on anything you're going to use for defensive purposes, not so much doesn't have to be mounted to the handgun, but as far as rifles and shotguns go, if you're going to use that for home defense, it's real hard to carry activate a handheld light while you're trying to operate a shotgun or an AR-15. So that it's almost, my personal opinion is it's basically required equipment on a home defense rifle. Some people don't feel that way, and that's fine. That's just my personal opinion. But we'll go through the two ways of utilizing basically a handheld light and a weapons-mounted light, and I'll kind of go the pros and cons, and I'll show you in a shooting demonstration why they're so important. All right, we're in a total dark basic scenario. This would be basically your house at midnight. Whenever you hear a bump in the night, if you keep all your lights off to conserve energy or whatever, you have no kind of ambient lighting in your house, this is what you're going to see. You're probably seeing total darkness right now through the camera lens. So if I hear a bump in the night and I go to see what it is or whatever, basically this is what you're stuck with. You're seeing basically nothing. So if I come out and there's a criminal or somebody intent to do me harm, all they got to do is shoot as soon as I open that door, as soon as I hear movement my way. So I'm at a disadvantage already because I have to follow, just like we all do, follow the laws of the land and the moral code. You got to ID what is an actual threat. So if I hear a bump in the night, if I have a weapons-mounted light, I'm going to go hot here, facing downrange. So if I hear a bump in the night, I go to crack my door, which really at the end of the day, you have to make a decision if you're going to come out of your room or not to explore what's going on, because it's going to really suck to basically clear your house by yourself. It's a lot of skill set that's involved in that, and you're at a disadvantage that you're right from the start, because if someone's waiting for you, it's almost impossible, even if you're highly trained, an individual to clear your house. But we'll go ahead and cover the use of a light if you decide to make that choice. If you have a weapons-mounted light, if I come in, I crack the door, I pop this open, I can engage this light. Now, I can do momentary, so if I can search where I want to search, turn it off, and then I'm back to wherever. But that beam is beaming right back at me. But I ID this target. Oh, that's your teenage son who just stumbled in, that drank too much at a party, and that's obviously not a threat. Now, what's bad about that? You just pointed a loaded handgun at him because you got a weapons-mounted light. So that's something you got to decide about who's in your house, who's in your family, basically what your layout is of your house. So on the same token, if I come out, I crack my door, I pop this out, oh no, look, it's a guy with a gun, threat. I can put 2 rounds on him because I ID'd that guy as a threat, not my teenage son who's stumbling home with a little too much to drink where he shouldn't have been. So that goes to show you right there, that there's no way to see that if I didn't have that light on. That's the only way we can ID that in a dark house. Let's go ahead and cut it. Okay, now what we're going to do is that same scenario with a handheld light. Handheld lights got a lot of advantages. The main disadvantage is you lose your second hand on your firearm directly in your grip. But what we can do now is if we're coming through and clearing, I can basically cross my hands. I can point my gun in a downward direction as I scan. Now, I've ID'd this as my teenage son who's drank too much, and I'm not pointing a gun directly at him when I ID him. So that right there is definitely an advantage if you have kids in the home, something like that. If you have someone other than just you and your spouse, or someone who lives just in your bedroom that you can account for when you hear the noise. If it's just you and your spouse, and you're both accounted for, then a weapons-mounted light could be for you, because it doesn't matter at that point. If someone's in your house and you ID them, they shouldn't be in there in the first place. So if you ID them and the gun's already pointed in at them, it's not one of your family members that's basically just coming home late or doing something, downstairs or something like that, making noise. So the same thing goes. If I shine on this, oh, that's a threat. Now I'm holding that gun basically crossed over with my hands, so it doesn't give me a good shooting platform, and I don't have as good a recoil control of that handgun, but I can still make hits on that target when I need to. But it gives me a little bit more flexibility. I can put this basically in a downward position, and I can search where I need to search, come up if I need to shoot. So that's two different ways of using basically a weapons-mounted light and a handheld light. If you go to a long gun selection, you're basically going to be limited to a long gun light, because there's really no way to have your second hand used to actuate a handheld light when you're operating a shotgun or a long gun. But that is, now that our light's off, you can see why that it's a required item in the dark. Same can be said if you're out somewhere, or if you're hiking, or if you're doing whatever, or if you're just going to a parking lot to your car after work and you work nights and there's no lights, and the lights are out or whatever. There's a lot of dark alleys and parking lots through town or whatever. So definitely some sort of light to ID a threat, if not just find your way. And a bright light, this is 500 lumen here, can be used as a defensive tool in itself. If someone's coming up on you and you blast them in the face in total darkness with 500 lumen, they're going to lose a bit of their night vision. It's going to be hard for them to see you at that point. So it's another good reason to carry a light. But basically the choice would have to be on you, whether you want to do a weapons-mounted light, handheld light, or if you're on a long gun, running a long gun with a light. But for me, my personal opinion is a light is not an option in a defensive use situation for a home defense setup. Whether you have it on your nightstand or on your gun, doesn't matter. Even when you're out and about, I always carry a light. Even during the daylight, it's on me, because I never know if I'm going to be home before dark or whatever. I always have it with me as part of my EDC gear. But basically, this is what you guys couldn't see, how I was holding this handheld light. This is my preferred method of actuating a light. Just basically touching the tail cap. I can use it intermittently to cut it off, as long as I don't completely depress and activate that as a constant on. I can use it to my advantage to on and off when I want it to. I still have this kind of as a support system for my firing hand. It definitely isn't as good as both hands on the gun, but it is something, and it does add flexibility. Like I said, if I got to come through, I can either dip my gun down to do my search, and if I ID something that is a threat, I can pick it up. I can completely get it out of the way. Search this way. You can do the old FBI style, where they basically do that so they don't, if they shoot at the light, they're not shooting at you, kind of thing. So a handheld light does have a lot more flexibility, I feel, than a weapons-mounted light, where you're basically limited to a light on your firearm. You do have, same thing, you do have the momentary, and then you do have the constant. You can actuate it from both fingers. So these are bright. This is like 800 lumen. Same thing. I disabled the strobe feature. I'm not a big fan of the strobe, but same thing. It's all in one package is what's nice. Basically, you have this on a nightstand in a holster or whatever. You pull it out, and now you're equipped with your light and your weapon. Everything's ready to go. Disadvantages are you're sweeping whatever you see with your muzzle. So you got to make that decision. That's a personal preference that you have to make that choice on, if you're okay with that or not, or how your living situation is. So anyways, guys, I hope this you learned a little bit about it, and you can see why a light, I would say, would be required for home defense, and a pocket light for EDC, just so you can see. Like I said, we're covered under rules and regulations, everything like that, policies and laws. We have to identify anybody we're going to use deadly force on. And unfortunately, it doesn't go the other way with a criminal or a violent felon or someone who's out to do you harm. They can blast into a crowd, and they care less. We can't. We have to we have to hit what we're aiming at, and we have to know what we're shooting and why we're shooting it. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoy it. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.